Hello everyone and welcome back to the FPL Engine YouTube channel. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking you through a couple wildcard drafts that I think are the best for FPL Game Week 8. So starting off, this is a no Salah draft. I will get onto a Salah draft for anyone who wants to own him, but this is just a general draft, one that I think is a very nice team for the upcoming weeks. There's downgrades, as you can see, that I'll get onto in a minute if you don't have the funds to make this team. But yeah, getting straight into it, I've gone for Nick Pope in goal because I just feel like you need to get some of this Newcastle defence. With them being the second best defence in the league statistics-wise this season, I would definitely get some of them in there. And obviously, the top defence being Arsenal, I've made sure to get double in there. The thing is, for me, David Raya now just is not worth the money. With his price rise to 5.7, that is a lot of money to be spending, on a goalkeeper when you could go and get yourself a Timber for literally point 0.2 more. And I just think it's not worth spending that money on a keeper when there's someone like Nick Pope who is genuinely getting more points than him. He's better on the bonus point system and stuff. There's someone like him who's 0.6 cheaper, so I don't see why you would go for Raya. As I said, I have still kept the double Arsenal defence. You could even go for triple if you wanted Raya, but that's more if you already own him and you've not lost money in him. But yeah, Urian Timber, obviously absolutely brilliant so far. Getting an assist last week as well. The only thing I don't like about him is, he's not great for DEFCON, and you are sort of just taking him for the clean sheets. So, if you want more of a DEFCON player, there's always Tarkovsky, there's always Dan Burn, there's always players like that who is going to hit it. But what I do like about this draft is you've got Anderson and Richards on the bench who have both been hitting DEFCON very consistently. So, if you want Timber out for a week or you want Gabriel out for a week, one of the Arsenal defenders, all you have to do is put in Anderson or Richards, and they're both very consistent with DEFCON. But yeah, as I said, Gabriel as well. He is my favourite Arsenal defender. You could go for Saliba, but I think I'd rather Timber and Gabriel, for a bit of attacking threat and also just a bit of that. He's going to play. He's a solid centre back, and also again Gabriel as attacking threat as well. And he has been smashing the DEFCON recently, so hopefully he can keep that up as well. Senesi, just a great pick all round. I do want to know why he was subbed off early and if that's going to be an issue for the future, because if it is, him as a pick in general, he becomes a much worse pick. So we can hope that doesn't happen again, and he should hit DEFCON consistently as well. He has gone up to 5 mil, 0.5 increase. So if you don't own him already, you're just gonna have to cut your losses and buy him probably. But I think he shouldn't get benched again. I think that was just a tactical substitution, and it clearly worked because they won. So I think that probably was just a tactical substitution. Sorry, but yeah, if it's not, then there are a lot of alternatives to him. Looking into the midfield, Antoine Semenyo seems like a fairly obvious pick to me. I think he has been the best midfielder in the game, and I don't know anyone I would rather have right now. Bukayo Saka looking to be the penalty taker. As I've said, if you have Victor Gyökeres, I wouldn't panic. I'd probably just keep Gyökeres. I do hate these sideways moves. Personally, in my personal team, I think I'm going to keep Victor Gyökeres. There's part of me that wants to make that sideways move to Saka, but I feel like I should just keep Gyökeres and not do that. But yeah, I think if you're on wildcard, I'd definitely go Saka, and I'd definitely go double defence instead of going defender Saka and Gyökeres. I think it's just a much better, Saka looks like a great option, doesn't he? And we've seen Saka's minutes, they've been pretty consistent recently, so I do like him as an asset. Tijani Reinders, just a very cheap and cheerful player. Does he return every week? No, but if you want to bench him this week, as you can see, I've got a very good option on the bench in Ismail Sarr. Enzo Fernandez, we don't know if he's going to be fit this week just because Argentina's game has been put back to the Wednesday. And with Chelsea being the early kickoff, will he be back in time? I am a bit sceptical. But yeah, as I said, if he's not, you've got Ismail Sarr there. And with Enzo Fernandez probably being on pens, I would like to have him in the team. So yeah, if you can just get him and bench him for this week, that would be fine. Just on Ismaila Sarr quickly, I do think he's an absolutely amazing FPL asset. The only worry I would have is just his injury record, and them being in Europe, it could affect him. But if all stays well, he does look like a great asset. And yeah, it is a close one to put him on the bench this week, to be honest. I think if I had him, I might actually play him over Reinders. So yeah, it is a close one. In the attack, we have Erling Haaland. Obviously, he just seems like such a great FPL asset, and he seems so consistent at the minute. And I think the Haaland that, we had in FPL captained every single week is back. Whether that's a good thing for the game or a bad thing, I'll let you guys decide. But yeah, I think that guy is back. I've gone with Voltemada up front and also João Pedro. Now, I do really, really like Jarrod Bowen. So if you want to take out either Voltemada or João Pedro for him, you can do. But yeah, Voltemada just looking great at the moment. And João Pedro, I understand he has been in a bit of a dry spell, but with the fixtures coming up, I just could not say no. On the bench, we've got Marcin Dubravka, just a cheap and cheerful goalkeeper that can stay on your bench hopefully all season. You won't have to look at. Ismaila Sarr, I've already talked about him, just a great FPL asset. And Anderson and Richards, I've already talked about them being absolute DEFCON machines. Now, getting on to the Salah draft. As you can see, instantly, it just looks a bit weaker. Now, what I personally think is I wouldn't do this just on the basis of Salah's worth 14.4 million. Is that worth it? Not really. Do I think he'll do well against Manchester United? Yes, to be totally honest. As a Man United fan, it's not what I want. I really hope he blanks. I hope the whole of Liverpool blanks, and I hope Bruno Fernandes gets a hat-trick. But yeah, no, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. And yeah, but just in general, I just don't think Mohamed Salah is really worth the money, because he's just not backed it up. If he was a bit less, if he was 12.5 like usual, I'd think about having him in my team, and I just do not think he's worth it. With him going to AFCON as well, is it worth buying now? When his fixtures change in game week 12, you're only going to have him for 3-4 weeks. So is he even worth buying at all? I don't know. But anyway, besides the point, if you do want Mohamed Salah, here is a draft for you. As you can see, I already talked about Nick Pope. That is the Newcastle coverage, and Gabriel Antonesi. Coming into the team, though, is Alderete from Sunderland, a nice, cheap option. You do have Dan Burn on the bench, so you can play Dan Burn over him if you want. I've just put Alderete into the starting 11 purely because of the fixture. But yeah, if you do want to play Dan Burn, put him into the starting 11. Dubravka on the bench again, and Anderson on the bench again, mainly because I just really, really like Anderson as a pick. He seems to just hit DEFCON near enough every week. Antoine Semenyo, a very obvious pick. Mohamed Salah probably would have the vice armband or the armband. I have forgot to change that, but he would probably have one of... to be honest, you could captain him this week, but Haaland at home against Everton, I think I'd still captain Haaland. And this is the thing for me. What is the point in spending £14.4 million on a player to not even captain them? It's just not really worth it, because if you're going to have Haaland as well, most weeks, 9 times out of 10, you're going to think, let's captain Haaland. So I don't know if Salah's worth it, really. Personally, I just do not think he is, because say he goes and gets like 7 points, for 14.4 million, you could have had 2 7 million players who got 7 each, and it just does not seem worth it to me. Also coming into the team, Granit Xhaka, just a very, very consistent player, very cheap as well. I actually do like Granit Xhaka just for a normal team, not even on a Salah draft, because he rarely gets 2 points. He rarely blanks, mainly because of DEFCON. He gets assists, he has attacking potential, he's on set pieces. The list just goes on. And I'm pretty sure there is quite a high chance he could be on penalties if their penalty taker, Enzo Lefebvre, is off the pitch. Speaking about the Enzos, once again, we have Enzo Fernandez. Again, if he doesn't play, Calvert-Lewin on the bench comes in. Now, this is another thing about this draft. You lose someone like a Jarrod Bowen, a Voltemada, a Gyökeres, and you end up with a Calvert-Lewin. If you couldn't tell already as well, you've also lost a Saka to upgrade to Salah. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin just very inconsistent, not a great player to be honest. So yeah, I'm not too confident in him, sorry. And Tijani Reinders, again, all these players just aren't consistent, and when you have to have so many cheap players to fund one man in Mohamed Salah, who, to be totally honest, is not backing up his price tag, it's just not really worth it. But yeah, the same up front again, Haaland and João Pedro. Possible downgrades if you can't afford this draft are Calvert-Lewin to Foster from Burnley. You might want to do that anyway because Calvert-Lewin is rubbish. Or João Pedro to Walter Marder. But yeah, to be totally honest, I just don't think it's worth it. As I said, if you're not even going to captain him and you're going to captain Haaland, what's the point in spending 14.4 mil on a player? But if you want to do it, go for it. If you think Salah's going to do well, go for it. But personally, just it is not for me. Anyways, that is it for the video for now. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And I will see you probably near to the end of the week for my sort of final team selection video, unless I get any more out. But I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the little break. Make sure you do it as well. As I said in the last video, take your head off FPL, completely forget about it for a bit, and we'll get back to it soon next week.